if you look at the flow of the case, it is very interesting that the judge has already called the movants or the H3Snark mods, basically the chambers, to say, hey, what the hell is going on here? We need to talk. This typically doesn't happen this early on, and we've seen other cases where, for instance, Logan Paul versus CoffeeZilla, we do have a document where it's in camera review, but that's much, much later. This is even before the lawyers for Ethan Klein has a ability to respond to what was filed. So on September 22nd, the movants, the H3Snarks, they filed their motion for relief. They filed their declaration. They filed their declaration of those, Leah Volek, who's a lawyer, and then the proposed order. So that was September 22nd. It was taken in on September 23rd. And then a lot of things happened. There were stipulations on September 23rd. Ethan Klein's lawyer responded, and he made his own declaration. There was the certificate of interested entities by TED Entertainment. That was also September 23rd. September 24th, there was the declaration of Leah Rosa Volek in support of motion correction of docket. So there was some type of electronic filing error because there was more information that had to be shared. You cannot make this up, but it is. Then there was the motion by the judge or the order by the judge to extend the deadline, September on 24th, it was entered September 25th. On the 26th, there was a certificate of service. And again, another September 26th, there was another certificate of service, motion, 7 declarations of support. Then September 29th, there was this USB. Yes, you heard me correct. There was a USB that was received manually. Very strange. We do not yet know what is on the USB, but when you look at all the pages and you look at the sequence of it, the USB must have the redacted part, because I don't really see much redaction or any redaction in the declaration. That means that the USB must have some information that we're not aware of. And so the question really becomes, like, what is on that USB that they had to redact even before turning it in? Is it information that could reveal their identities if Ethan Klein were to get a hold of the unredacted part? This case so far is about these individuals not wanting to be named. And because of this, it actually is very curious that they went this route. They rather have it, because there are certain things, right, like that could be in these documents, in these legal documents, where it would reveal their names. And I'm not even talking about Reddit turning over their names. I'm talking about their lawyer turning over their names, or their lawyer mishandling information, and that information gets out, right? Or the judge says, hey, this is actually not confidential. You use your real name here in your email. This is very alarming, because I think they had a much better chance with Reddit. I think Reddit would have not turned over. I think there was a much better chance for Reddit to say, hey, we don't want to turn this stuff over, right? So if the rumors are correct, there's Reddit mods and all this stuff. It's very complicated. It's unknown, right? These are just rumors flying around. But you could imagine that Reddit may not want to turn over based on its business model, if you will. Here, the lawyer clearly knows who these people are. The lawyer has signed a contract with them. So I'm going to speak as a lawyer. You sign a contract. You cannot sign a contract with Jane Doe, because Jane Doe is not going to pay you. Somebody got to pay you, right? So unless they're paying you, even if they're paying you cash, you still have to know your client. There's different laws in place where you have attorney-client privilege, and that is what is almost being tested. But like, it could easily, in 700 pages, given the style of this lawyer, what if something let's imagine something was redacted that covers the privacy, and the judge says, "Nah, that shouldn't be redacted. Let's unredact it and turn it over to Ethan." Well, even when you need to go to Reddit, Ethan would just have that person's name and potentially even address. So they're playing a very dangerous game here, because I do not think the current lawyer and the style of the current lawyer is good at this game. To be good at this game, you want to give the minimal amount of information necessary. When I mean the minimal amount, I mean a one-pager. Here, you have a situation where the lawyer has turned over redacted, and this is why the judge is asking for this, information. The reason for the redaction is obvious, right? They're trying to hide the identity. Now the information has to go unredacted via email to the judge, and the judge will determine whether or not their privacy concerns are correct, are legitimate. If the judge determines, hey, there are no privacy concerns here, that's all that information gets turned over to Ethan Klein, unredacted. In fact, it all becomes public to everybody. So the game that they have played is a very dangerous game, and I do not think they have the right attorney for this game. Based on, I'm just going to say it, based on her qualifications and her writing style, which is just throw everything against the wall. That's not, I understand what the game is. The game is to say as little as possible, to give as little information as possible. But when you're doing hundreds and potentially thousands of pages of information, and it's getting to the point where the judge wants to see the information unredacted, this is very concerning. I, as H3 mod, would be very concerned that my lawyer may have turned over something and it's going to get unredacted. So this is a dangerous game, because the lawyer clearly knows who her clients are by name, address, even possibly bank account if they're doing a retainer style payment. If the objective is to hide your name, hide who you are, this is not the way to do it. This is not the way. I think they would have a better chance having this thrown to Reddit, because the judge, like, part of what they have to give to Ethan is the real information of giving Ethan the chance to actually say why. Remember, this case is not about Hassan. It's not about Frogan. It's about contributory copyright infringement. Contributory being the main word. They might have just turned over themselves, because the judge certainly is going to know who the Jane Doe is from the redactions. Whether or not the judge believes in privacy, that's going to be the argument, right? Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This might be a catastrophic legal mistake. And like I'm saying, like, if you do go this route and you don't trust Reddit to protect your identity, which they don't, you need a lawyer who's like not going to write 700 pages. You need a lawyer to write like 7 pages. Because once you start turning over stuff, and the more stuff you turn over, like the idea of turning over 700 plus pages and a USB of unknown amounts and live streams, all this, the weakness in this position, right, where you just throw everything, you just kind of bury your opponent, is sometimes you gave too much, and sometimes what you gave could actually identify you as an individual. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Bye, guys.